What's up, everybody? Good to see you. Get a little spotlight on me. That'd be nice. It is. It's been a good month, everybody. I'm still in LA, still having fun out here. Been going to more record stores as I kind of like look around and try to scope out the city. Found a really cool place off Hollywood Boulevard called the Record Parlor. That was a fun place. Everybody was very helpful. I went in and I was looking for some Tina Turner. I was looking for some stuff, and being that's what I'm going to open up the show with. Because I just saw a documentary on HBO called Tina, and for Women's History Month, we want to kind of celebrate female artists and musicians here on the show. And what a story Tina Turner has, and what a great documentary. If you get a chance, check that out. It's really good. Very interesting documentary from her early days with Ike, through kind of, that tumultuous relationship and all the kind of things that happen in that. But it's really a weird thing. I'm on the fence because you're watching this documentary and, they really did make amazing music together. And that's kind of a question I'm going to ask a little bit later in the show, just kind of how people feel about supporting artists when you don't necessarily agree with who they are as people and their moral compass and stuff. But watching this, you see these, this young couple kind of creating this magic. And Ike was kind of the mastermind between all the music that was happening. And then Tina was just this force of a lead singer. And this documentary just takes you into that. And, the common phrase is she taught Mick Jagger how to dance, meaning she taught him kind of how to be a better frontman. And so she was this amazing performer, and watching kind of her journey in this documentary is really cool. Just to kind of, early days of kind of just doing covers and doing kind of, stuff that, her breakout when she, divorced Ike and started her own career in the music industry, and kind of went to like Switzerland and different places and had these different kind of producers and just kind of weird sounds, and then broke out with, kind of her story of how Ike treated her. And then she was kind of like, this kind of tabloid thing for a long time before she really popped as a solo artist. It was more about her relationship with Ike and all this stuff. And then Private Dancer came out, and that was this experimental album that came out, and that she was, took off from there. And it was like Tina full force. Like in the 80s, it was Tina nonstop. And then she, Mad Max and all this other stuff, Beyond Thunderdome, the soundtrack. And, so it's a really cool documentary. If you get a chance, because a lot of people, I didn't know that much about Tina except her story with Ike and all that. And then a little bit about, because she came out, Private Dancer was kind of, the thing. But I really kind of went in a spiral of a lot of the older stuff. And I don't know if I'm an asshole for liking the, Ike and Tina stuff a little bit better. But I do. And this is an album. It's called Come Together. It's actually covers, and we do there's a lot of conversation on this show. We talk about covers and do we like them or not like them. This album has some amazing covers on it, and Come Together, which is obviously the big Beatles song, and it's really good. It has I Want to Take You Higher, Sly and Family Stone, and really cool cover on here is Evil Woman, which was performed by the band The Crow and Black Sabbath, one of their big songs. And so this is really cool stuff. And that's kind of what I want to talk a little bit about today in the chats, if you get a chance. I kind of want to throw some questions out to the Twitter folk, and then also my co-host. We could have a little dialogue about it too. 3 questions that I have is, do you still support an artist when you don't agree with their moral compass? Meaning like, should I like Michael Jackson? Should I like John Lennon? Should I, is it, even like actors like Mel Gibson and stuff? So it's kind of this weird thing where it's like I still, that's how I feel about Governor Cuomo. Is nobody likes him anymore, but I like him like I like Michael Jackson. Like I still love his early work. So it's kind of one of those things. I'm curious how people think. And then also, I'm curious how people feel about drugs. Can drugs make art better? Like how do you feel about true or false? Can drugs make art, like enhance it, make it a better experience? And then also, after an artist dies, does that elevate their work, or does that make people more drawn to them? Kind of this mystical thing that makes people connect to the artist. So I'm curious about these questions. We're going to leave them up for a minute. So if you want to throw those into the chat, we would love to kind of hear what you have to say. But, Tina Turner is kind of, a great artist if you want to seek her out. And I do like her solo work. It's a little more kind of mom rock for me, but I do think she's very talented and a hell of a front person. And so get you some Tina Turner and check it out. And so that's my my intro for today. Hope you enjoyed that. So get those questions out. We would love to talk to you a little bit about that. And so I want to bring in my co-host, very amazing guys, a lot about music, and Jeffrey Paul, Adam Holtz. What's up, guys? How you doing? Good to see
Dustin.
you. Hey. What's up?
So you know what? I rage on this show about Pat Benatar, but another person is Tina Turner. Like, she's another solo artist that is not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame as a solo artist.
She's coming up. I think she got inducted. I think she's been nominated.
She's nominated.
Nominated. Okay. I don't know. I'm pretty sure it's going to happen. I mean, that's when you throw a documentary around on HBO. I'm pretty sure that's kind of the.
I hope so. I mean, she. Absolutely. This is an icon. She's an icon.
She's great. She's got an amazing voice. And they did so much work with, kind of switching over her sound. Have you seen the documentary? It's fantastic.
No, but I've always liked Tina Turner. Yeah. I always thought that there was always something a little special about her, that she's the trendsetter. I think without her, you don't have Janet Jackson or Whitney. She was the full package of all those performers. And also, I believe that she is the only woman in her 40s to have a number one single. Maybe J-Lo had just reached something like that. But I mean, she's the original J-Lo.
In some sense, for sure. I think J-Lo started a little younger, but it was.
Yeah, but she was a singer, a dancer, an actress, and she makes better music.
Yeah, I think she was, at that time, women's performance or whatever. It was like, the Supremes and stuff like that. Like, it was very much together and very kind of wholesome, if you will. And then she just came out, guns a-blazing with the skirt, with the way up, showing her legs and shaking around and sweating on stage. And, kind of, I compared it like a James Brown. I think she's like a female version of James, where she's just kind of like owning the stage in a way that nobody had ever seen a woman do before like that.
Right. Right. Yeah.
So how do you feel about the Ike stuff? Like, I feel like it's like when I bought this album, I was just like, should I still be buying music from like a horrible human being? So, but gosh, he was good and was able to compose good music.
It's a great question. Yeah. And I think it was like one of the last thing you said about Cuomo, and the thing that made what my mind went to was Michael Jackson and all the allegations against Michael Jackson. Yeah. I mean, it still doesn't diminish what he was as a performer. And I think he's the greatest performer of all time.
Well, how do you feel when you listen to it? Is there any sort of like what about, are there any artists that do that for you where you're just like, you don't like what they've done?
No, what
about Sid Vicious? He killed a person. He killed his girlfriend, like stabbed her. Does that affect you at all?
I wasn't a huge Sex Pistols fan, so I never really listened to the Sex Pistols. But when I do listen to their version of My Way, I still think it's great. But I think Johnny Rotten makes that.
Phil Spector,
great producer. Yeah, but he was. You can't. But you can't say, well, now it sucks, because.
It's not about sucking. It's not about sucking, and it's not about not enjoying it. It's like Louis C.K. even. It's just about like, Bill Cosby. I mean, are you gonna, whenever I see like I have a lot of Bill Cosby albums, I don't know if I would put one on like I used to. I don't think I could enjoy it in the same normal way. It would have. I mean, Michael Jackson. It just feels a little different for some reason. But somebody like, Bill Cosby feels weird. Like, I don't know if I'm going to just turn it on.
Were you a Louis C.K. fan? Did you like Louis C.K.?
He would have been the greatest comic we've ever seen if this hadn't happened. I think he's the next George Carlin if this whole thing hadn't happened.
So when you listen to him now, does it knowing what he did and what went down, does it take away from him a little bit when you listen to it?
A little bit, but you know what it does? it kind of, he tried to get stage time from me, and I wouldn't allow him at Greenwich Village Comedy Club because I felt like I had too many female comics. And at the time, it was really when it was fresh. And I felt like it would create a situation that I didn't want to create. Now, but I feel like, when I hear his dirty stuff, or I hear his stuff about like, how he loves to masturbate, or like all women are, all men are creeps and they want to kill, all this weird stuff that he says, I feel like it rings different. Like when I watch a Woody Allen movie now, sometimes when he portrays himself as going for the younger woman or things like that, sometimes it creates a different energy in my head. Like I can't just lose myself in the art. When I know something about the art, when I see Mel Gibson in a movie, a new movie, I'm kind of like, it's not the same as when I saw him in Lethal Weapon for the first time. Like it chips away a little bit, I mean, it depends how much, that bothers you. Cause some people it doesn't bother, but it does a little bit.
It's such an interesting question, because when you bring up Mel Gibson, like Louis, I can listen to his comedy and get lost in the comedy. Michael Jackson, and get lost in the music. But there's something about Mel Gibson that I can't get lost in it if he's acting in it. But I just recently watched Passion of the Christ, and you don't even think Mel Gibson, you just get lost in how good that movie was.
Yeah, I mean, but but when you see him in a movie, it's a little different. But I don't know. I think it's like people just. Picasso was horrible to women. He would put cigarettes out on their back and stuff. Like he was a horrible human being. But nobody's taken down, and it's a cancel culture. But nobody's taken down a Picasso in the museum. You know what I mean? Like, and people can still enjoy the art. I don't think a lot of people know. I mean, John Lennon was a wife beater, but the Beatles are the greatest band of all time. So it's like it's easy to, it was a thing when I put this on Facebook. Buddy Flip was a comedian that we're really friendly with. He kind of went in and he basically was saying that his whole thing was John Lennon got better as a person. So in the beginning, it was kind of like he had a hard time with the whole allegation of what he had heard about the past of John Lennon beating wives and stuff. But then his later work is so much about peace and so much about love and unity. So his whole thing is like people can grow. So that's how he was able to, maybe if Michael Jackson had lived, maybe, more truth would come out about what happened, or, I don't know. So maybe it would have changed kind of where it left off. But I don't know. I think it's probably an individual thing. But I know we're such a cancel culture that, but I did feel a little weird buying this album. But the guy at the record store, he seemed to be, he didn't have any compass at all about it. So he was like, Ike Turner's amazing. I was like, yeah. And I was like looking around. But this, this is a cool, I continue to start. I just love it, man. It's like they just had such a soul groove. And it's really about that era. I like a little better than that 80s pop stuff.
So 60s is amazing.
The 60s was so cool. So much good music. It's hard to find bad music in the 60s, except, maybe Monkeys or something. But it's like, it's really good stuff. So
do you think if it was like the Beatles were around today, as just starting as a band and they were popular and all the stuff came out about Lennon, do you think in the way we live today, he would even get a second chance? We just want to shut people down. We don't want to help anybody. We just want to cancel somebody. It's a shortcut to fake virtue.
It is. And some people, I mean, I have a best friend who's a celebrity, and he's had some run-ins with things, and some of it's true and some of it's not true. And, and I see how people are piranhas and they just go at you. And a lot of the fact, there's a documentary that came out, Cecil Hotel. I don't know if you saw it on Netflix. It's, and there was this guy that was kind of a, kind of a hard death metal guy. And he's in this documentary, and the whole thing is like, he sings songs about death and all this stuff. And he happened to be in this hotel where this murder happened. And the fact that he was such a death metal rock guy, everybody just assumed he killed the person. And so the internet just went crazy on him, and then basically accusing him of killing and he had to get off the internet and this whole thing. And and then it found out he didn't, and he had nothing to do with it. He was just a guy that did death songs.
And there's no apologies. There's no apologies.
And this poor guy, I mean, he's kind of slowly coming back, but it's like, and hopefully the fame from the documentary will help his, whatever. But this is 10 years or whatever. He almost gave up music and whatever. So so people jump quick. But, but some things are fact. It's a fact that Ike, was rough and, did some horrible things with Tina. And so that's it really just, I don't know. Just depends on the person. But some people don't deserve a second chance, and maybe some people do. I don't know. Really.
Well, let's swing it around to sports. All right.
Okay.
Like OJ Simpson. I remember watching him
a different
play.
kind of show. I like it.
Yeah. It's like as a guy like that who was found guilty in a civil case, found innocent, but it's widely presumed that he committed these murders. Do you take him out of the Football Hall of Fame? It has nothing to do with his football accomplishments. He still ran for over 2,000 yards in his season. He still was the greatest running back of his era.
No, I don't think you take it out. I mean, they did.
I agree.
Ike and Tina got into the Hall of Fame. I mean,
that's the comparison I was making.
Yeah, and it's just like, I'm sure it was rough for her, but I don't know. I mean, it's just a weird thing. I mean, to separate the art, the thing, and I don't know. It seems like it's harder to be a good human being than it is to be a great artist. So that seems to be easier for a lot of people.
Definitely.
Being a good human is a whole lot harder than writing a hit song. So cool, man. So speaking of songs and hits, what do you guys, what's going on today? What's the featured album?
And good human beings, or depends on your point of view on this artist. She was one of my favorites, and there are very few people that when they pass, like you saw this coming, but this one hit me, a little harder than a lot. I loved Amy Winehouse, and we're going to look at Back in Black today, and this is. Back in Black is the second.
Back to Black, right?
Back to Black. Yeah. It said back. I'm combining her with Angus.
I would love to have heard her sing Hell's Bells. Like, that would be amazing. That would have been phenomenal.
Yeah. Back to Black. I'm sorry. Yes. Back to Black. It's the second and her last album that came out in the fall of 2006. When you listen to this album, it's open. It's transparent. It's insight into really the relationship she had with her on again, off again boyfriend. Later becomes her husband, Blake Fielder Civil. If you like soul, if you like 60s music, this is it. I mean, this album has soul. It has jazz. It has blues. You can taste the alcohol in her singing this, but somehow it is yet commercial. And I think a lot of that has to do with who produced the album, which was Mark Ronson, who also produced Adele, Lady Gaga, and Bruno Mars. So if we go through the tracks, we're not going to go through every single one of them, but there's so many tracks that really do stand out. Like, I think like Me and Mr. Jones has an old school backdrop to it, while she's slamming being in a relationship. Like the line that keeps coming up in the song is like, "What kind of fuckery is this?" And it's really the music is like an ode to 60s history. She even when she's referring to her husband, she goes, "Aside from Sammy, you're the best black Jew I know." So, I mean, it's an interesting lyric. And then you go to like a very, like, you could see like being like in a lounge, like in the movie Swingers, like something like that, when the song "Love Is a Losing Game." It could have been sung from any one of the great female artists of the 60s. When I'm listening to it, I'm thinking I could see Dusty Springfield would have covered something like this. Even Lulu would have covered something like this. Of course, it's like slow, it's cool, it's jazz, it's about self-pity, it's about regret. Like most of these songs, it's like are about regret and the relationship. But at the end, she always stays with this same guy. I think the first song, Rehab, is the one that everybody knows. It's the first single, and everyone knows like that lyric. They try to get me to go to rehab, but I said no. And when you combine that being the single And the lead up to this album, and at the time, there were all these pictures coming out about her and stories about her. And in the pictures, you just saw her declining weight loss. It's a little haunting, but the music itself, great horns, is kind of like a swing type of sound, but also with this serious issue of, this is someone who should go to rehab, and she's rejecting it. Like, I don't know how aware she is of her problem. I just want to cover 3 more songs because I can't decide which song I like better. The title track, Back to Black, is another old school soul sounding song. It almost sounds like when you hear the intro of it, it reminds, I don't know if you guys picked this up, but it sounds so much like Baby Love by the Supremes. That's the sound I got on it. But again, bearing her soul about her boyfriend leaving her. And the thing is, Back to Black means she's going back to drinking, back to depression. I absolutely love this song. Like what I do is, like, when we pick an album, I'll spend the week listening to it, and like when I'm walking from wherever I'm going, from gigs, I'll put on this, and this really gets me in a great headspace, even though the subject matter is what it is. The other song I love is I'm No Good. Has a kind of like a Philly meets Motown song sound to me. Again, think of the song Baby I Need Your Loving by the Four Tops. That's what this is what it sounded to me. And there's a cool remix on it with Ghostface Killer rapping on it. But here she blames herself for the relationship gone bad. I'm no good. She's taking the brunt of it. Her voice is incredible. Plus, here's the whole thing. It's such a deep and personal album, but she was only 23 years old when this came out, and her voice and these lyrics are so much beyond her age, which to me I found remarkable. And then the song is my favorite song on this album. It's one of my favorite songs of all time, is Tears Dry on Their Own. It's, everyone kind of like knows it's kind of like an ode, the style that's arranged. It's supposed to be like Ain't No Mountain High Enough, the Marvin Gaye version. That's what this is. So to me, it's a fantastic. It's a song I never ever gotten sick of. I love it. I love this album. I could, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm giving this like a 9.5.
Okay. I didn't know we did 1 to 10s, but you're so funny. Each week we have different formats. But first of all, great job. I agree with everything that you said. And I'm not that familiar with Amy Winehouse. I'm really not. It's somebody that I'm obviously aware that she was this talent force, this kind of, haunting voice. Haunting's a really best way to describe kind of this haunting kind of jazz 60. There's really a lot of elements to her. I compare a lot of, good singers to like Linda Ronstadt, only because like somebody like Linda Ronstadt could do a whole lot of ranges and a whole lot of different styles of music. And that's what this feels like to me, is somebody that's just so freaking talented, and much like Hendrix, just early and died, and it's a tragedy. And it's just, it's so good. I was actually in the canyon hiking to this music, and
oh, cool.
It is a little depressing. I mean, I'm glad I didn't jump, but it's, it's just so cool. It's like, it's really a sound I've never heard before. And she's one of the greats. It's unfortunate that we don't have her. And somebody like this, I'm a recovery guy. And so, I understand addiction in a way that I can relate to this. And so I understand the darkness that where it takes you. And this almost feels like, a journal of kind of, her darkness. And that's what
agree with that.
Her albums kind of have that feel that she's got to put it somewhere. Like I've always said, stand-up comedy for us is very cathartic. We can, we talk about things. And I think music is like that for musicians, where they can just put it to this place. And so this album is full of that. And And the Rehab song is obviously the most played of any of her songs, but it's such a great song. And it's like, you have to just think about it, not hearing it as much, and then you can enjoy it more. You know what I mean? That it's unfortunately, it's one of those songs that gets played a lot. So you kind of like, oh, I'd rather hear the other stuff, but it is a really kind of cheeky, great kind of song who's doing songs about that? You know what I mean? And the fact that she was, basically so honest with this stuff, but also arranging it where it's poppy and, her producer, you were saying.
That's where I think Mick Ronson comes in. If you get a chance, go down the wormhole of watching her live performbles.
I've seen a few. Yeah. So
I think
good.
the backing singers were the Dap Brothers.
Oh, wow.
Or the Dap Kings.
The two black guys are wearing the suits with the hats, and
fantastic.
And it's just so cool and so 60s, and it's classy. And she's singing in a skirt, but she's got the tattoos and the beehive going. Yeah. And man, I can't get enough of that. And it depresses me that she's no longer here, and no one, like she was an original and she was authentic, and like Robert Smith from The Cure. I love the people who are just like really so deep and so talented and so vulnerable at the same time.
Yeah, she was a great, great artist. And, well, let me hear what Adam has to say, and then I'll go in somewhere else.
I mean, I completely agree. And this was, this is definitely one of the best albums of the aughts. And, I don't know if you guys watched her later performances, but those were brutal.
When she was when she's on heroin at that point,
right?
It was
especially
hard to watch.
Her last performance, which is just horrible to watch.
Yeah, I think it's easier to play guitar than it is to sing when you're on heroin. I think that's probably, I don't know. I think singing is a whole nother animal. I mean, I feel there's a lot of, Jimmy Page. There's plenty of people that were just doing all kinds of drugs and able to kind of like pull off guitar. But when you're the front center of singing, I think it's you notice it a lot more, I think.
Well, especially Hush. She was skin and bones at the end. Mm-hmm. The performance that you're referring to, she's all over the place. She's off key. Then when it's so sad because when you watch other performances when she's like on her game, there's no one better. Like there was she could have been anything she wanted to be.
Yeah, I've been to a lot of rock shows where guys were too drunk, I used to get high and try to do comedy, and, it was just like, just didn't work at all. But, but let's take it back to the drugs, because that's another question I had was, do you think drugs enhance music? Especially somebody like this. If, it's a weird argument, but think about all these great people who were obviously had addiction problems, but created such masterpiece work, so, Janis Joplin and, Jimi Hendrix and Jim Morrison. There's so many people that were just fucked up the whole time.
I think one of the first names that come to mind when you bring that up is Brian Wilson when he wrote Pet Sounds. Yeah. The whole thing is him being in California and not going on tour and doing psychedelics, and these things would just come into his head, and he saw it clearly. Yeah.
Well, what about her? What about Amy Winehouse? Do you think that, did any of that addiction help? It must have. I don't think she would have had the lyricism.
Is heroin the same thing as a psychedelic that expands your mind?
Jimi Hendrix played on heroin. Come on. It's like, yeah, absolutely.
But there's a difference, like you just said, between being a singer and lyricist than between being a guitar player.
Okay, what about Stone Temple Pilots? Yeah, that guy was on heroin. Scott Weiland was on heroin all the time.
And it killed him. It ruined his career.
Yeah, but boy, he should pumped out some good music. He had some great songs.
It was him and Rob DeLeo.
Well, his voice and him singing, he was a front man and he sang, whether it was somebody else's music or not. He was an amazing front man.
Listen, I love Scott Weiland. That's another guy that kills me. That he's not gone.
I think
way
drugs
too
do. I'll step in and say it. I think drugs can definitely enhance a performance. I think it obviously can go too far. I think people can, the problem is with drugs, you never know when to stop. So I think it can open your mind to a creative process. the Beatles. I mean, there's Led Zeppelin. There's so many bands that experimented with drugs, and I think it enhanced the music. The problem is you don't know where to stop. It's like we were watching Boogie Nights the other day, and it's a great movie, the first half. And then the second half is just how it just spirals out of control because the drugs take over. But
that's in my top 10 movies, by the way, Dustin.
Yeah. It's a great movie. But it feels like music, or people that did, but I don't know. I just feel like it's a weird thing because the thing about the world, if drugs did not exist, what kind of music would we have? Would it be all like Lawrence Welk? Like what would the music be like?
I think it does enhance the creative process, but I think it depends on the drug.
I don't know. A lot of people have done heroin. A lot of people have done cocaine. A lot of the 80s music is coked up. So that's why it has the sound it has. And then a lot of the 60s music has a little heroin going. I mean, John Coltrane was on heroin the whole time. Like, there's just so much great music that was through heroin and through coke. Coke is, I'm sure some good music, was through coke. But, a lot of that 80s stuff is kind of whacked out to me. I don't know if anybody has any input.
We got some. We got Happy Mischief says, I think it can help creatively, but touring and performing in the business side, drugs don't help as much there.
I agree with that.
And let's see, we got Mad Dabbin says, nobody ever listens when you tell them they are going too far.
That's true. It's true. Yeah. I mean, it's unfortunate, a lot of good bands got sober and stayed good. I think the Stones are pretty sober, except for Keith, but,
how about Ozzy?
Ozzy sober. Yeah, I think, but that's the thing. The later stuff's not as good as the fucked up stuff. Like, if you really span it out, and as a recovery guy, I don't mean to, if you're struggling with addiction, email me. I'll, see what I can do to help. But I feel like, it's just a weird thing. But that's the thing. There was a big Kinnison joke where he was just like, he would talk about what if like somebody like Jimi Hendrix had lived. And he was like, he was like happy that he didn't get to see him grow old and fat and, just be miserable playing a Super Bowl halftime show, so it's like, there's something. And that's another thing too, that goes to the next question, where I feel like when someone dies, an artist, does it elevate kind of their mystery and, elevate their work at all? Because I feel sometimes, we take another connection to an artist when they die. We find a soulful way, because we know we're never going to see them again, and it immortalizes them because we're so obsessed with youth. And so when a young person dies, and like James Dean is this like James Dean, this young guy, and Kurt Cobain is this like this young image. And I don't know, it's kind of this weird thing. And with Amy Winehouse, I feel similar.
I think you're right. I think that you're dead right on that. Like, what do you think would have happened? Like, what if Kurt Cobain? What do you think if Kurt Cobain would have just came out like in the rest of the albums, like with garbage? They suck.
Yeah, he'd be selling songs to car commercials. Who knows? Who knows?
He's 27 years old. He dies. He has this amazing legacy. Or would he have been Dave Grohl?
Yeah,
took it to a different level.
A different level. Yeah, absolutely a different level. I mean, I don't know if it's a better level. I don't think the Foo Fighters comes close to Nirvana.
I agree with that too.
But it's it's great music, and he's a great musician. I love him. My God, you couldn't find a better person to be in rock and roll than that guy. But yeah, it's interesting. I don't know. Anybody have thoughts on that? And when an artist dies, does that elevate them at all? Is that anything?
Let's see. We got
if
people still talking about the drugs.
Yeah. More about the drugs. Okay.
Yeah, more about the drugs. Yeah. We got Matt Dabbin saying, watch spiders make webs on drugs. It shows the ones that are good for creativity. So we're gonna have to look up some spiders making webs on drugs YouTube videos.
So people put like weed in there on a spider?
Let me see.
Is that what? Am I misreading this whole thing?
Yeah, maybe Mad Dabbin could answer.
Weed is an interesting one because, George Carlin, he used to say that what he would do is he would write out all his material. He would write it on a typewriter, and he would have it all out, and then he had a box, and he was a big cocaine guy back in the 70s, and he gave up coke and everything. He gave up most drugs and a little bit drinking and stuff, but he have a box, and in the box he would have a joint in it. So his writing process for every special was he'd write the special out, and then after he wrote it out, to punch it up, he would take 2 hits of the joint, and then he would go back into the work. And so it was like that was his process. Like he would write it out sober, and then he would get a little high to go back in and punch it up. And so, and I, it's one of those things. I've created some great stuff while I've been messed up on drugs and alcohol, but I've also had horrible performances where I got in fist fights with guys in the audience, and it's like can't go back to certain clubs anymore. So, it's definitely a catch-22, but the creative process, I've had moments where I created these things because my mind was loose. So, I understand it.
I'm going to have to do that tonight. I got about 3 jokes I need to punch up.
Well, I used to kind of be you mean punch it up? Oh, like
George Carlin, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I did. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely I get the idea of it. So I just can't do any more drugs because it leads to all kinds of drugs for me. I wish I could just smoke pot. I'm in the right place. I tell you. It's like you can get weed at 7-Eleven here.
Well, it's going to happen in New York too.
Oh yeah, nice.
Oh yeah, they just signed legislation today.
Oh wow, today? Oh, that's phenomenal. Wow. Yeah, New York needs it at this point with the beating that New York's taken through COVID. It's like they need something to get people to want to hang out in New York. They should open a club, and a weed club, puff laugh or something.
Have you ever been?
Be huge.
Have you ever been to Amsterdam?
Oh, yeah. I have. Yeah. I've done comedy. I did comedy one time in, I think it was Vancouver or something. And it was a weed bar, and there was no alcohol, and it was and the entire audience was high the whole time. And they were vaping at the tables and stuff. And it's interesting. I don't know if you've ever performed in front of all high people instead of all drunk people. We always perform in front of drunk people, but I feel like, it's pretty tricky because I feel like sometimes, people, when they're high, they kind of zero in and laugh at something a little too long. And that's what I noticed. Like,
that's right.
They wouldn't stop laughing. I couldn't get to the next thing. Like they would just be laughing at one part and they're like, hey dude, I got to go over here. And then that would make them laugh. And then I couldn't get to the joke. So, and then it was like, I was sober, but you're going to get contact high. So I ended up getting high anyway. And so the whole thing was just a freaking hilarious.
That's got to be weird being like the one straight guy in a room full of high people and you're the ones making them laugh.
It's always that way for me because I perform in places where it's a 2-drink minimum. Mm. So most performances, everybody's, 3 drinks in and I'm not. So yeah, that's a norm for me. I mean, they're not always high, but they're usually drunk. They're usually at least tipsy, if you will. I mean, you know how people are at a comedy club. I don't know. Some get too drunk, but yeah, it's what it is. I perform in front of drunk. I entertain drunk people for a living as a sober person. That's my life. So,
I think it's a different head when you're drunk and when you're high. Like I think when you're drunk, it depends what kind of drunk you are. Some people are fun drunks and laugh. And then you get like these, you've seen it, aggressive, obnoxious,
Yeah, I think alcohol brings out your dick side and, your aggressive side. Whereas I think weed kind of, mellows you out.
Back. Right.
I mean, right. I didn't enjoy weed that much. It got me a little paranoid and a little, it passed out. I just pass out. Like somebody had really good weed. I just pass out. Be like, that was a fun party. Chafin's just passed out with his hat on his foot. You know what I mean? Like it was just, it wasn't that much. Cocaine was a good time, but weed was all right. I'm more of a coke guy, but don't do coke. It's bad drug, guys. You'll
stay in school.
You'll wind up in Canada without a shirt on, walking through the streets, asking for cab money. But yeah. So I don't know. Is there any questions, or you want to get to the next album? We got to wrap it up soon, or we're 20 minutes in.
Let's see. Those spider videos were from the 60s. They were science experiment videos. Said Jay Diezelot says they make crazy different patterns based on what drugs they give the spiders.
So how are they giving drugs to spiders? Are they like injecting them with heroin and stuff? Doesn't that kill it? How's that not kill a spider, dude? I don't know. We'll see. We're gonna get on
these videos.
Jay, if you're out there, if you could bring up can we play that legally, a YouTube video of a spider on drugs? Jay, if you can find a spider on drugs and throw that in the video, I would love you forever. All right. So okay. So Amy Winehouse is great. Thank you, Jeff, for recommending this album, because I'm gonna go buy just how many albums? 2 or 3? 2. So I'm going to buy both their albums on vinyl. I think she's be a great one to have on vinyl because it sounds so authentic and so 60s and retro. So
absolutely
good stuff, man. I appreciate you picking this album. It was good. And the next one's not, I did not expect this one either. So go ahead and Adam, why don't you bring this one in?
All right. So we're going from one iconic voice of the 2000s to another iconic voice and another Amy. Amy Lee of Evanescence. This is their first album in 10 years, their first studio album in 10 years, The Bitter Truth. And this is
the first album with Amy?
No. Their first album, their first studio album in 10 years. I think they did some live stuff in between. They did some, I think they did a soundtrack during that time. But, this is a grand and epic album. It's also a pandemic album too. They recorded this during the pandemic. It is it's a pretty it's an album about despair, but it's an album about breaking through despair. And I was really surprised by it. I'm not really a big Evanescence fan, but I found this to be one of the better albums I've heard this year. And was wondering what you guys think of it.
Go ahead, Jeff.
I was gonna say, it was the first time I text Adam. I was like, "You finally got one right." I absolutely.
Poor Adam. You always get him right, Adam. Don't listen to him. Listen to Grumpy.
Do we have to go back to the Daft Punk episode?
Oh man, Daft Punk is great though.
All right, what do you got,
not for everybody though.
Listen, for a new album, for any album, I thought this was great. I love Evanescence. I love Amy's voice. I think she's great. I know she left the band for a while, and then I didn't even know she came back. But this had like that sound like from 15 years ago, that industrial sound to it.
Yeah.
Anytime there was a song, I think it was Use My Voice. There was a couple of them that were started off like a little slower, and like, I don't know if I'm gonna like this, and then just kicks in, and like there wasn't a song on this album that I said, skip. They're all really good. Some are a little harder than others. It opens a little weird with the Artifact, but other than that, but because it's a short song and it just gets right into broken pieces. Mm-hmm. And I think that was, the album just is such a solid, hard rocking album. And again, she's one of these singers. She could sing the phone book for all I care, and I would enjoy it. She's great.
Yeah, I knew nothing about this band. I don't want to be ignorant about music that's not, from like 60s to, 90s or whatever. But it's a band that I'm just not that familiar with. And my girl really likes them. And so, I had no idea, when somebody says a name and you get them mixed up with something else, like I thought it was like, more kind of R&B. I had no idea. I just didn't know, because Evanescence, it almost sounds like 3 women up front singing, like a TLC kind of thing. That's what it felt like. And so, what just happened here? So I didn't know. I wasn't sure what was happening with this band. But anyway, loved them. Very cool sound. When I was a kid, we were into. Did we lose Jeff, or he's there? Oh, he's there. Is Jeff there? Jeff,
we lost his video.
Oh, we lost his video. Okay. All right. Well, hopefully he'll come back. Jeff, you got lost in the void, like WandaVision. He's like,
oh, that's a great show.
It is. He's like WandaVision. He's just caught in some internet, like freaking fiber optics thing.
He's in the hex.
He's in the hex. Well, I wanted to say this thing to Jeff. Where is he? Well, let me text him. Any questions? Wait, we'll do some questions until Jeff comes back.
Let's see. We got Happy Mischief asks us, how did you guys pick this album? And yeah, it was
you picked it, Adams. Talk to us.
Yeah, I mean, I picked it because it was brand new. It sounded the everything I read on it sounded really, really good, and I wasn't really too familiar with Evanescence either. So,
oh, you weren't? Okay, I thought you were. I thought they were kind of your jam. Okay.
No, I hadn't really. There were a few songs I heard. There were, I mean, especially in the, I think it was the early 2000s. They were really, really overplayed for a while. But yeah, I was really, really blown away by this album. And I also like, you know, there's songs like Yeah Right, Far From Heaven, which sounded a bit different on there, and they were really, I think they really stood out. They became centerpieces of this album just because of, you know, because they got a little bit more kind of adventurous on it, and you know, it's just you know, every song they're really, just like Jeff said, there's not really a song that you skip on here.
Yeah, no, it's really good. You know, it's pretty intense though. I'm gonna tell you, to go from, you know, because today I listened back to back all the albums, you know, to go from Amy Winehouse to Evanescence. Right. I mean, I was surprised I wasn't a cutter after. I was just like, come on. It was like, it was a lot. But it was great. I compare them. I don't know if you know this band, Cocteau Twins. It was like a big kind of, and a Kate Bush, and like kind of this.
I was thinking Kate Bush also. With
this. It's like kind of this, you know, kind of gothic, kind of, you know, beautiful voice, but it also has this kind of, you know, hard rock to it. So yeah, I enjoyed it a lot. I thought it was really good.
Yeah, I think another.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I think another band, just because of their grand sound, would be Muse.
Okay.
This kind of sounds like.
Yeah, it sounds like a few bands. It kind of, you know, it's like everybody was shitting on last week. What was it? Pretty Reckless. It's similar, you know, maybe they were trying to do something. This band was, I don't know who came out first, but it felt similar in some ways.
Well, maybe and actually the lead singer of Pretty Reckless, Taylor Momsen, sings on Use My Voice. She does backup vocals on it.
Oh, okay. All right. So they're familiar with each other. Interesting. Yeah. Okay, great.
Yeah, I think she cites Amy Lee as an inspiration. And but I mean, I could see this would be a great tour if you had Pretty Reckless opening for Evanescence.
Yeah, I could see that happening. What's up, Jeff? Good to see you again, buddy.
I hate my internet. It is brutal. It's brutal.
That's all right.
But you know what? I was thinking that Evanescence, Pretty Reckless, that would be a good tour.
Yeah,
I would see that.
Well, did you hear the thing? He was just saying that they've sang together. I guess.
Yeah. Taylor Momsen's on she does backup vocals to Use My Voice.
So they're familiar. I didn't know that. Yeah. So
again,
they're familiar.
You know, it was. I listened to a lot of the Amy Winehouse, and I listened to this for the last couple of days while I was in the gym. And this is good gym music.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, better than Amy Winehouse. Amy Winehouse just make you want to find some mouthwash to drink. But this is, you know,
Amy Winehouse was good walking music. This was great workout music.
Yeah, it's good stuff. I was saying that. Yeah, we were talking about that. You know, kind of has this Kate Bush kind of like, you know, Sinead had this thing too, where it was just like, you know, just because this screaming voice, but it's not. It's beautiful. You know, it's almost like it's just both these artists today where they have these voices that are just beautiful voices, but they're just, you know, but they almost feel like they're screaming because of the, you know, the way they sing and the content and the lyrics and whatnot.
Dustin, are you familiar with the song My Immortal that she sings?
I'm not.
I mean, if you want a song that just rips your heart out, listen to this song. It's about how do you get over the death of somebody?
Oh wow!
And that imagery is always with you. It's after you've done everything to help this person, and they go, and then their memory doesn't leave you. It's such one of the most beautiful songs I've ever heard in my life by any artist. And then on the other side of the coin, you have "Bring Me to Life," which I'm sure you've heard. You know,
yeah, I think so. Yeah, like I said, I'm not that familiar with them. It's like they're not in my, you know, vinyl crates, if you will.
Give it a listen if you have a chance. When you're hiking in the canyon, listen to, you know, you definitely know "Bring Me to Life."
Yeah. Now my girls, like I said, Leah's really into them. I'm just, it's like I got other, I'm more jazz and stuff, and blues and whatever. But it's definitely great music. It's like I don't know if I was just telling when you got kicked off the internet, I was telling Adam, I said it's pretty intense to have Amy Winehouse and Evanescence back to back. Like when you listen to that back to back, I mean that's a lot of angst. There's a lot of female angst happening there.
It's pretty heavy.
Yeah, I think I had my period at some point. I think.
Jeff, what did you think of "Far From Heaven"?
"Far From Heaven." That is
that was the slowest song, and also
it was
similar to "My Immortal."
Listen, nothing for me, Adam. I'm telling you. When it comes to like slow music and emotional stuff, nothing's going to beat that song. I have spent hours going down these wormholes listening to people trying to cover this song, and I've listened to some people do nice jobs. She's just in another level singing this. Did you guys talk about the thing? What you sent me today, the bonus tracks on this, the 2 covers?
No, we didn't get to that.
I didn't get that email. What would you guys doing emails without me? What's going on? I didn't get the extra, the bonus DVD. I didn't get that.
Were they bonus tracks or it was just,
if you buy it, I think if you get this album,
it's deluxe.
In Japan, you sent me the video. There's "Cruel Summer," which I had seen her do before, right? During the pandemic, and then they do "The Chain," which everyone knows I hate Fleetwood Mac, but it's the only Fleetwood Mac song I like.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, I'm not a big Fleetwood Mac fan.
Yeah, but hate is a strong word for
not in this case. Not with Fleetwood Mac. because here's the thing.
Oh no, I feel like this has happened before. Adam's like, here we go.
Stevie Nicks cannot be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame over Pat Benatar. Sorry.
Stop it. She'll get in there just because of you, because of this show. Pat's coming in. That's what I heard.
The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is doing this to spite me.
We have influence.
I always thought "The Chain" was the opening song to Rumors, and I always thought it worked as a better opening song than Secondhand News.
Stop with Secondhand News. I love "The Chain" is
That's
a great
the one song I don't like with Secondhand News.
You don't like Secondhand News?
No.
Neither do I. And I hate "Don't Wait for Tomorrow." But "The Chain" is the haunting great song.
Yeah.
It really is a great song.
When did this band come out? Like 2000?
90s,
yeah.
I think.
No, I think he's right. I think it could be like late 90s, but the album, the album that broke them, I'm pretty sure that had to be like early 2000s.
Where did you hear him first, Jeff?
From the video for "Bring Me to Life," and they do the song with the guy from what's it called, 12 Stone? Was that the lead singer? And that's the one that "Wake Me Up."
Do you watch a video anymore?
Well, at the time, MTV was still playing music.
Oh, you saw it as an actual MTV video. Wow.
Yes. And now
that's so rare. Yeah, you can't do that. It's like
but Dustin, it's over 15 years old. So MTV was playing music, and they still had 120 minutes.
Oh, such a great show! I remember that show.
Yeah, but now it's like if there's a song I like, I'll go on YouTube and I'll watch the video, and then I'll get obsessed by it.
Those are my drug days, like 2000. So that goes back to the theme. But yeah, I missed a lot of videos and music. I think that's probably why I didn't latch onto this band.
Yeah, it was 2003.
Okay,
when Fallen came out.
Okay, because Linkin Park was the big thing.
Loved Linkin Park.
That was kind of what was happening during that time for me.
That was good stuff too.
But Fred Durst and that guy too. What was his band?
That was Chester Bennington.
What was Fred? Who's
Limp Bizkit?
Limp Bizkit. Yeah.
Come on, Dustin.
Limp Bizkit.
Did you do it for the nookie? Because you want to take that
Fred
cookie?
Durst.
I always do it for the nookie. My girl's gluten free. I'm gluten free. She wanted to move to LA. I'm in LA. It's like she doesn't want to have kids. I don't want to have kids. I'm all about the nookie.
you and Fred Durst. Next week we'll be seeing Dustin sporting a red hat.
He was fun. No more red hats. Your boy ruined those. But I like that music of 2000. It was because it was what I liked about it. It reminded me of the 60s because it was a fusion of different things. And so even if it was pop and rock and rap and whatever, I enjoyed that. I thought that it was a lot of, it's kind of when Run DMC was on, when we talked about Run, but as they were on, hilarious. But when we talked about Run DMC, it was like, it was similar, they fused things. So I feel like 2000 took some risk that a lot of music, it was fun. I think they took some musical risk, and added some elements that weren't necessarily happening at the time. So I always enjoy a fusion, if you will.
Yeah, Biscuit was heavy. I think Nookie was just such an immature song.
No, it was. I mean, it was fun. It wasn't meant to be. It was kind of like,
and he was a little obnoxious. I think there are other bands of that era that stood out to me better. Like I like Korn a million times better than I like.
I saw Korn live a lot. I saw them live probably like 4 times.
I love them.
Yeah, they were good. Yeah, they're great live band. It's a phenomenal live band. The people said on how good they are as a live band. Bush, I liked. Nobody liked Bush.
Bush was great. Bush, right? Yeah, Bush was great.
A lot of people didn't. I thought they were great. Yeah,
I saw them a couple of years ago too, and they're still really good. It was them doing I think all of 16 Stone and live doing all of Throwing Copper.
Oh, nice. that must have been a great tour.
That was a great show.
I saw live on that tour on the original Throwing Copper tour.
Oh wow, live was good.
Yeah.
Hey guys, one question out to the Twitchers. What's your favorite band from 2000? If you have one, like that era of Linkin Park and Limp Bizkit, did we miss anybody? Bush, Korn, Limp Bizkit, Linkin Park.
So we got let's see, we
Conway
got
Twitty. I'm kidding.
We got Ings back that says thought Jeff got fired mid-show.
We worked that out, but thanks for paying attention. We didn't know people actually watch this show. No, we worked that out. We had a group meeting. Everything's good. See how there's so much flow in the show because nobody's interrupting. Everybody's being nice. It's beautiful.
We got Dense Stand says says Evanescence will get you through the canyon faster.
Yes, absolutely.
Especially this album.
Yeah, this album. This one. Let's see what other ones. Han Bobon asks, does the order of songs affect your opinion of the album?
I think, sometimes.
It could.
Yeah. I think, order is very important. I think sometimes it's, I think with the Amy Winehouse, I felt like Rehab is a great kind of like go fuck yourself, this is my life kind of opening, and I think it really works for that album. But I think some albums don't always do it, but some like the Living Color with that album, we all basically were saying nobody could the album couldn't follow the best song on the album.
It should have been in the middle. That should have been like the 3rd, 4th track.
It was too powerful of a song for anybody. So I think absolutely. As a comic, sometimes we do jokes that we should close with and we do early or whatever. But I think it's definitely order is important sometimes. All right, Adam, what do we got new? We got to wrap it up. Jeff's got to get to a live parking lot show or something.
All right.
No.
Are you inside a club?
It's kind of inside. It's inside outside. All right. It looks like it's inside, but it has like a brick wall behind it that's outside, but the building is so close.
Nice. All right.
All right. I'll try to run through these fast. Let's see. Okay. We got My Morning Jacket at Dawn 20th anniversary expanded edition, 3 LPs. It's got a complete Jim James live acoustic set. So if you're a fan of My Morning Jacket, it's going to be a good one. We got the Eagles, the Millennium Concert, 2 LP. It's recorded New Year's Eve '99 at the Staples Center. It's the first time on vinyl. Then we got some reissues. We got Bob Dylan, Highway 61 Revisited.
Oh, nice.
Limited clear vinyl pressing, fantastic album. And we got Ozzy Osbourne, Blizzard of Oz.
Nice.
Limited silver and red vinyl pressing.
I love a colored vinyl. Very cool. So get you some vinyl, guys, and the Eagles. I love that documentary. Did you guys see that Eagles documentary?
Yes,
so good, so good.
I've actually watched that about 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, so good.
And it's like a 3-hour documentary.
Well, check out that Tina documentary and get back to me. The Tina Turner documentary. It's now on HBO. It's so good. Thank you guys for listening to Dustin's Vinyl, and we appreciate your support. And if you could hit our Facebook page and our Instagram, we would love to interact with you guys. Let us know if you want to like cover some albums and whatnot. And so keep buying vinyl, keep the record stores alive, and we love you guys. Yeah.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody. Get to your set, Jeff.
Thank you.